welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're really zeroing in on something pretty electrifying, just how fast new software is popping up, specifically these online tools, SaaS.
Right, and we're looking at it through the lens of this 17-year-old innovator, Rexan Wong. He's building real software incredibly quickly. It's making people take notice.
Exactly. So we've been analyzing his work, and our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to figure out how someone so young is pulling this off.
Yeah, what are the methods, and what does it tell us about technology today and, entrepreneurship?
Think of this as your cheat sheet, really. If you want to grasp this big shift in the digital world, how the next generation builds things online, but maybe you don't have tons of time to dig in yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the right place.
Okay, let's get into it.
So this Rexan Wong phenomenon, what's the deal? What makes his approach stand out?
Well, what's really fascinating is that Wong isn't like a total anomaly. He represents this new wave of digital creators. The analysis we've looked at, it really highlights his self-teaching path, how he learned on his own.
Right, self-driven.
And his use of online tech communities, getting involved there, and also how early he adopted agile development methods.
That's seriously impressive. I mean, the analysis really shows how those old barriers to getting tech knowledge are just crumbling.
Totally.
Forget needing years in some university lab. He's mostly self-taught, right?
Yeah.
Using online tutorials, forums, those MOOCs.
Exactly. The massive open online courses. And critically, he's not hiding away. He shares his stuff, works in progress, finished apps on places like X, Product Hunt, Indie Hackers.
Getting it out there, real feedback.
Yeah, and if you zoom out, it just shows how the internet's kind of democratized expertise. You don't need the keys to the ivory tower anymore for high-level tech skills.
Okay, so let's get practical. How is he actually doing it so fast? The analysis we have sort of breaks down his method for building SaaS apps into a few key stages. Let's start with how he gets ideas and decides what to build. Ideation, prioritization.
What jumps out right away is how practical he is. He's not aiming for, the next moonshot technology from day one. His focus is really on spotting clear existing needs, picking projects where he can get something working fast.
Makes sense.
Simplicity is key, clear user benefit, and being able to test the idea quickly. That's way up there on his list. He's not sweating massive scale right at the beginning.
Yeah, prove the core concept first. Worry about millions of users later. And that speed, it's obviously boosted by the tech choices he makes. The analysis details a really efficient tech stack. Can you walk us through some key tools and maybe why they help him move so fast?
Absolutely. So he uses Next.js quite a bit. You can think of a Next.js as like a Swiss Army knife for building websites and web apps.
Okay.
It bundles the front end, what you actually see and interact with, and the back end, the behind-the-scenes logic into one framework. That cuts down complexity, speeds things up a lot.
Right, less juggling different parts.
Then there's Tailwind CSS. That's all about making things look good fast. Rapid UI styling. Instead of writing tons of custom style code, Tailwind gives you these pre-made style classes you can just apply. It's sort of like using Lego blocks to build the visual design.
Okay, so less time coding the basics of how it looks and feels. What about actually getting these apps, online? Live.
That's where Vercel often comes in. It's a platform built for what's called continuous deployment.
Right.
Imagine it's like an automated delivery system for his code. Every time Rexan makes a change, Vercel can automatically update the live version. Takes away a lot of manual steps, a lot of hassle.
Streamlines the whole deployment process.
Exactly. And for the back-end stuff, data storage, server logic, he often uses Supabase.
Supabase, okay.
Think of Supabase as like a ready-to-go cloud-based backend. Instead of building his own database systems and servers from the ground up, he can just plug into Supabase. The infrastructure's just there, ready.
Wow. So it really sounds like he's strategically picking tools that handle a lot of the foundational plumbing. Lets him focus on what makes his app unique.
That's a great way to put it. And the analysis also mentions he uses public APIs. How does that fit into the speed equation?
Ah, right. APIs.
Yeah, this is really smart. Public APIs are basically pre-built features offered by other companies that anyone can integrate.
Like building blocks from other services.
Exactly. So say he needs payments in his app. Instead of building a whole secure payment system himself, which is complex, he can integrate Stripe's API.
Gotcha. Use their existing system.
Right. It's like ordering takeout instead of cooking a complex meal from scratch. It saves an enormous amount of time and effort, and he gets robust, proven functionality instantly. That's key for launching quickly with seemingly complex features.
Okay, so smart idea selection, super efficient tools, leveraging APIs, it's all adding up. The analysis also really emphasizes his use of the minimum viable product, the MVP approach. For anyone listening who maybe hasn't heard that term, what's the core idea there?
Sure. The MVP concept comes from the lean startup world. It's basically about building the simplest possible version of your product that still provides real value to your first users.
The absolute basics to get started.
Exactly. The goal isn't perfection or launching with every feature you can imagine. It's about getting something functional out there into people's hands quickly.
And then what?
Then you gather feedback, you see what they actually use, what they need, what they want more of, and you build out from there. It's all about learning and iterating fast.
Right. Get it out, see what happens, adapt. Which leads perfectly to the next stage the analysis highlights: rapid launch and validation. He gets these MVPs out onto public platforms really fast.
Yeah.
Why is that immediate release so crucial?
Because that's where the idea truly gets tested. Putting it in front of real users as soon as possible gives him that invaluable feedback loop.
Real-world data.
Exactly. What's working, what's confusing, what features are actually important. That feedback is gold, way more valuable than just guessing what people might want while building in secret.
And that feedback then, that drives the next part of his method, iteration and scaling. It's not like he launches and he's done.
Right. Oh, definitely not. Based on that user feedback, he's constantly tweaking things, refining features, adding new ones, basically adapting the app to meet what his users actually need as they use it.
So it's a continuous cycle.
It is. It makes the whole development process much more flexible and ultimately efficient compared to, spending years building something perfect that might miss the mark anyway.
Okay, to make this more concrete, the analysis mentions a few of his projects. Can we talk quickly about those just to illustrate what he builds? First up, Launchify. What's that about?
Launchify, yeah. It's described as an AI-powered tool that automatically creates launch websites for digital products.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, think about how much time even a simple landing page can take. Launchify tries to automate that whole thing so creators can get their product page up and visible much faster.
Sounds like a huge time saver for makers.
Okay.
Then there's Daily Dash. What niche does that fill?
Daily Dash seems to be a really minimalist app, just for managing basic tasks and personal habits.
Simple is the key word there.
Seems like it. In a world full of complicated productivity apps, its simplicity might be its main selling point. Helps users focus, maybe, without getting bogged down in features they don't actually need.
Makes sense. And the third one mentioned is autoreply.ai. Sounds useful, especially for small businesses.
Exactly. That one's a SaaS tool designed to automate social media responses for small businesses.
Ah, okay.
That could free up a ton of time for business owners, right? Let the AI handle common replies while they focus on other parts of the business, but still keep that customer engagement going.
Yeah, definitely. So these examples, they really show his ability to spot these specific little needs or pain points and then just rapidly spin up a functional solution. Pretty minimal overhead, too, it seems.
It's quite remarkable, especially considering he's just 17.
It really is. And this kind of speed and agility, it has some pretty big, broader implications, doesn't it? The analysis touches on a few. Let's start with this idea of the democratization of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, this feels like a fundamental shift.
Huh.
The analysis makes the case that because these powerful tools and easy deployment platforms are so accessible now.
Right, tools like we just discussed.
Exactly. It's empowering a whole new generation. Young people like Wong, maybe without traditional funding or big institutional backing, they can actually build something significant and become real players in the startup world.
It definitely feels like it's leveling the playing field somewhat, which also raises interesting questions about, well, traditional education paths. The analysis kind of suggests that the success of self-taught folks like Wong challenges that old idea that formal education is the only way to get high-level tech skills.
It's definitely something to think about. His success, and others like him, they really showcase what's possible with alternative learning routes. The online resources are incredible now.
Yeah.
It's not saying formal education isn't valuable, of course, but maybe it's not the only gatekeeper to tech expertise and innovation anymore. Self-motivation, using online learning effectively, those are clearly powerful.
And it's not just who is creating, but how they're creating too. The analysis notes that these younger individuals are taking agile development principles and adapting them for their own personal projects.
Yeah.
That's different, right? Usually you think of agile in big companies.
Right. What's interesting is how they're personalizing it. Things like working in short sprints, constantly getting feedback, being ready to pivot. Ideas that used to be mainly for large software teams.
Uh-huh.
Now, individual creators are using them to be more productive and build better things on their own. It's a much more nimble way to build responsive.
And finally, the analysis looks at the philosophy behind this whole launch early, refine later thing. It seems to encourage a certain resilience, adaptability, even being okay with making mistakes along the way.
That's a really good point. That iterative mindset, it inherently encourages you to just try things, learn by doing.
Less fear of failure, maybe?
Perhaps it fosters this culture of just continuous improvement, adaptability, which is so crucial in tech because things change so fast. It suggests, perfection isn't the goal initially. Delivering value and then evolving based on real feedback, that's the key.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into the analysis of Rexan Wong's work, it really drives home that his speed isn't just like a one-off talent.
Right.
It's a signal of these bigger shifts happening. Who gets access to tech, how innovation actually works now, the dynamics of the whole digital market.
Precisely. It's a really compelling snapshot of the growing power and potential of individual creators in this digital age.
And it leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to kind of mull over. How might this rise of young, super agile builders actually reshape the future of the software industry?
Good question.
What opportunities, or maybe challenges, does this create for the big established companies, and maybe for those of you listening who could be the next generation of innovators? Think about what it means for education, for startup support, even for the basic way we think about developing digital products.
Lots to consider there.
Definitely. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.